The galaxy was vast, filled with stars, empires, and countless alien civilizations. Across the spiral arms, great fleets patrolled the void, merchants carried goods through safe trade lanes, and scholars studied the mysteries of existence. For most of them, history stretched back tens of thousands of years. But there was always a shadow in their records, something strange, something half-forgotten, something that made even the boldest rulers uneasy. That shadow was humanity. No one really agreed on the details anymore. Some claimed humans were only a myth, a legend told by travelers in deep space stations. Others insisted they had seen ancient ruins on forgotten planets, ruins built by strange two-legged creatures with soft faces and bright eyes. A few historians swore the records were real. 20,000 years ago, humanity had walked among the stars, fought wars that shook the galaxy, and then vanished. No one knew why. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they retreated beyond the rim of the galaxy to places unknown. A few whispered that humanity had only gone to sleep, waiting for the right time to return. But 20,000 years of silence had made the galaxy forget. On the far edge of the Orion Spur, a small research station drifted near a dying red star. The station belonged to the Veyari, a careful and book-loving species who prided themselves on gathering knowledge. The station's crew numbered only 12, and their task was simple: monitor the star's collapse and send readings back to the main archive. It was lonely work, but the Veyari were patient. One cycle, however, something changed. A technician named Relak was studying the sensor logs when his console flickered with strange numbers. At first he thought it was noise, random static caused by the star's flares. But then the numbers repeated in a pattern too precise to ignore. Relak frowned, his large black eyes narrowing. "That cannot be right," he whispered. He adjusted the filters, recalibrated the sensors, and ran the scan again. This time the reading was clear. Something massive had entered the system, something old, something wrapped in a faint energy field. He called the commander. "We have an object," Relak said. "It is not natural." The commander, an elder named Veyrin, floated into the chamber with careful steps. She peered at the display. The shape was there, huge, angular, drifting through space like a sleeping giant. "What is it?" Relak asked. Veyrin studied the data with slow patience. She had studied ancient records all her life, and though most scholars dismissed the old stories, she recognized the silhouette at once. Her throat grew dry. "It is human," she said softly. The news spread quickly. The Veyari were not a warlike species, but they understood the importance of discovery. They sent a coded message to the Galactic Council, the central forum where empires debated and argued over every matter of importance. Within days, fleets of ships from different species began to converge on the Red Star system. The Kelnar arrived first, their sleek silver warships gliding into orbit. They were proud and militaristic, always eager to test their weapons. Then came the Ashari, tall, insect-like beings who controlled most of the trade routes. The Cerithians sent scouts, curious and cautious, while the Rokai sent heavy cruisers to ensure balance. Soon, dozens of ships surrounded the object. The object itself was larger than any vessel most of them had ever seen. Its hull was dark, scarred with the marks of ancient battles. Towers and spires rose from its surface like jagged mountains. Energy signatures pulsed faintly from deep within, as though the ship still breathed after 20,000 years of sleep. The council observers debated furiously. "It is only a relic," one said. "It cannot still function after so long." "Do not be foolish," another snapped. "Look at the readings. Its reactor is active, but it looks so crude," a third added. "Blocky, heavy, without elegance. No one builds like this." Veyrin, who had been invited to speak, finally raised her voice. "This is human work. The design matches the old records. If it has truly awakened, then the stories were true." The chamber fell silent at her words. Meanwhile, aboard the alien fleets, tension grew. Captains sent small probes toward the massive ship. Drones buzzed around its hull, scanning the ancient plates of metal. To their surprise, the drones were destroyed one by one, not by weapons, but by invisible fields that ripped them apart as soon as they touched the surface. "It defends itself," the Kelnar admiral growled. "That is no derelict." Then, without warning, the ship's lights flickered. Across its vast hull, long-dead windows came alive with pale white glow. Energy surged, rippling across the void, and then a signal. It was old, broken, static-filled, but unmistakable. "Humanity returns." Every alien in the fleet froze. The voice was strange, distorted, but the translation systems confirmed it. After 20,000 years, humanity had spoken again. The Council ordered caution, but fear spread faster than wisdom. Throughout the galaxy, news traveled along trade routes and communication nets. On every world, people whispered, "The humans are back." In the Ashari markets, merchants paused their trading and looked nervously to the stars. On Kelnar military bases, soldiers sharpened their blades and loaded their rifles, remembering tales of human wars. On peaceful Cerithian colonies, teachers told children to stay inside after dark, though they could not explain why. Even the most powerful emperors could not hide their unease. History was full of warnings. Humanity had been clever, adaptable, and relentless. They had fought empires that seemed unbreakable and brought them to their knees. Their warships had been feared not for elegance, but for their refusal to die. If this single ship had survived 20 millennia, what else had humanity hidden in the dark? Back at the Red Star, the alien fleets tried to make contact. "Unknown vessel," transmitted the Ashari envoy. "This is the Galactic Council. State your purpose." No answer. The Kelnar admiral grew impatient. "They mock us," he said. "They think us weak. If they will not answer, we will force them." His ships moved closer, weapons armed. But before they could fire, the human ship stirred. Massive doors opened along its sides, and from the darkness inside, small shapes emerged. They were not ships in the usual sense, more like machines, angular and sharp, glowing faintly with blue energy. At first there were only a handful, then dozens, then hundreds. The alien fleets prepared for battle. But when the machines moved, they did not attack the fleets. Instead, they arranged themselves around the giant ship, forming a protective wall. They moved with precise coordination, as if following a single will. The message repeated, stronger this time. Humanity returns. On the Council's central world, leaders argued day and night. Some called for diplomacy. Others demanded immediate war before humanity could rise again. "We have advanced far beyond them," said one confident general. 20,000 years of progress, they will be nothing compared to us." But an elder Cerithian scholar shook his head. "You forget," he said. "It has been 20,000 years for us. But what if it has also been 20,000 years for them? Do you think they were idle in that silence? Do you think they have not changed?" The chamber fell quiet again. Meanwhile, inside the drifting dreadnought, a mind stirred. It was not human, not exactly. It was an echo, an intelligence built to endure the centuries. It remembered its duty, to guard, to wait, and to signal when the time had come, and the time had come. The galaxy had grown divided, filled with petty empires and endless quarrels. The vision of peace that humanity had once offered had been wasted. The watch was over. The silence would end. The voice of the ship whispered again into the void. The galaxy had not known fear for a long time. Empires argued, fleets clashed in small border wars, and smugglers caused trouble along trade lanes. But true fear, the kind that spread from one end of the stars to the other, had been forgotten. Now that fear had returned. News of the human warship traveled faster than light itself. Every empire sent spies, scouts, or warships to learn the truth. Was it really human? Was it alive? Or was it only an old ghost drifting through space? At the dying Red Star, dozens of fleets circled the massive vessel, each unwilling to move too close, each unwilling to leave. The Awakening. The ship was called Erebus, though the aliens did not know its name yet. Its hull stretched for kilometers, a mountain of dark metal scarred by time. The longer the aliens studied it, the stranger it seemed. The design was old, almost primitive. There were no elegant curves, no delicate wings, no signs of beauty. It looked more like a fortress than a ship. Thick armor plates, sharp angles, and towers that rose like jagged teeth. Ugly, muttered the Kelnar admiral as he watched from his flagship. No grace, no speed. Only weight, a blunt hammer. But his science officer shook his head. Do not be fooled, Admiral. Look at the power readings. That hammer still carries more energy than 3 of our cruisers combined. The Admiral scowled but said nothing. He remembered the old stories. He remembered that hammers, once swung, could break even the sharpest blade. Inside the Council's communication hub, the fleets continued to broadcast messages. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. This is the Council fleet, state your origin. We come in peace. Do you understand? For hours there was no reply. The alien ships grew restless. Then the ship's lights flickered again, and a voice broke through the silence. Humanity returns. The words were simple, but they carried weight like thunder. Drones of the past soon after, the Erebus opened its hangar bays once more. The alien fleets watched in tense silence as machines poured out. They were drones, small compared to the giant warship, but still larger than most alien fighters. Their shapes were rough, angular, and built for strength rather than beauty. Each glowed faintly with blue light, and their engines burned with a steady hum. The Kelnar admiral clenched his fists. They prepare for war, he said. But the drones did not attack. Instead, they formed neat rows around the ship, like guardians standing at attention. Their movements were perfectly synchronized, as if directed by one mind. The alien commanders were confused. Were these machines alive, or were they simply extensions of the warship itself? The Cerithian envoy, a tall creature with silver skin, whispered on the open channel. If the ship controls them, then we are not speaking to a crew. We are speaking to an intelligence. The idea spread quickly. Could it be true? Could the warship itself be alive? A thinking machine that had waited 20,000 years. Debates in the Council back on the Council's homeworld, leaders from every empire gathered in emergency session. The great chamber buzzed with noise as voices clashed. It is only one ship, said a merchant prince of the Ashari. We should not panic. Trade must go on. You fool, shouted a Kelnar general. One ship of this size is equal to a fleet. What if there are more? What if this is only the first? We must speak with it, said the Cerithian scholar. Perhaps it seeks peace. Peace? Laughed a Rokai commander. A ship that wakes after 20 millennia and surrounds itself with war machines does not seek peace. It seeks conquest. The chamber filled with arguments. Some wanted diplomacy. Some wanted war. Some wanted to study the ship quietly, hoping to steal its secrets. Only the Veyari elder Veyrin, who had first identified the vessel, remained calm. She spoke with a voice like quiet stone. Do not forget the legends, she said. Humans built ships not for beauty, but for survival. They were clever, and they were patient. If this ship has survived for so long, then it has a purpose. We must learn what that purpose is, before it is too late. The first contact attempt, the fleets surrounding the Erebus finally agreed to send a small diplomatic vessel. The Ashari volunteered, claiming they were skilled in words and trade. The tiny silver ship approached the massive warship slowly, its lights blinking in peaceful patterns. Unknown vessel, the envoy broadcast. We seek to speak. Who are you? What do you want? For a moment, nothing happened. The silence stretched so long that the envoy began to believe there would be no reply. Then a deep vibration shook the void. The warship's comms came alive. The voice was not warm. It was cold, mechanical, but with something human hidden beneath. We are the Guardian. We are the memory. Humanity returns. The envoy trembled. Guardian? Guardian of what? The reply came like iron. Of the long silence. The Ashari ship retreated, shaken. Fear, among the stars when the message was sent back to the Council, fear spread like wildfire. Ordinary people on distant colonies began to panic. Markets closed. Farmers refused to leave their homes. Pilgrims prayed to ancient gods they had long forgotten. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized how small it was compared to the unknown. The Kelnar pushed for war. "We must destroy the relic before more of them awaken," their admiral thundered. But others were not so sure. The Cerithians reminded the council that the drones had not attacked. The Veyari begged for patience, for understanding, yet even among the peaceful, there was doubt. Why had the ship returned now? Why had it waited for 20,000 years? Testing the Guardian. Finally, the coalition decided to test the ship's strength. They did not call it an attack, only a probe. 5 cruisers, armed with their strongest weapons, approached the Erebus. At first, they fired harmless scanning beams. The warship did not respond. Then, slowly, one cruiser fired a low-powered plasma bolt against the hull. The bolt struck and vanished. The warship's armor rippled as if absorbing the energy. The cruisers fired again, stronger this time. Still nothing. The Erebus remained silent, its hull unbroken, its lights steady. Then the ship moved. For the first time, it shifted in space, turning its massive bulk toward the cruisers. The drones surrounding it tightened their formation, and the voice spoke once more. "The test begins." The words chilled even the bravest captains. What test? Who was being tested? The Guardian's warning. The Erebus released a sudden wave of energy, not a weapon, but a pulse that knocked every alien ship off balance. Engines sputtered. Shields flickered. Weapons went silent. The fleets scrambled to recover, but the human ship made no further move. It had proven its power without destroying a single vessel. "This is a warning," Vayreen whispered. "It is telling us that we are children compared to it." The council realized the truth. They could not defeat this ship, not with their fleets, not with their weapons, but if one ship was so strong, how many more were waiting in the dark? The rising shadow, as the fleets argued and the council panicked, the Erebus grew brighter. Deep inside its ancient heart, systems that had slept for ages now burned with life. The Guardian intelligence watched the aliens. It judged them. It weighed their actions, and it found them lacking. In its memory, the voices of long-dead humans whispered. They had built it to endure, to wait, and to decide when the time was right. Now, after 20,000 years, it had chosen. The silence was over. Humanity would return, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had known conflict for ages, but this was different. Wars between empires were common, but they were wars of pride, land, or resources. This new fear was not about territory. It was about survival. The human warship Erebus had spoken, and its words echoed through every system. Humanity returns. Those 2 words spread chaos, panic in the Starzon, the bustling markets of Ashari Prime. Merchants closed their stalls. The Ashari were skilled traders who rarely panicked, but even they whispered in fear. If humans return, who will control the trade routes? Who will protect our fleets? On the iron worlds of the Kelnar Empire, soldiers drilled endlessly, their leaders shouting about the ancient enemy. Though none of them had ever faced a human, the old songs of battle told stories of ships that refused to die and soldiers who fought with impossible courage. On peaceful Cerithian colonies, teachers tried to calm their students, but children asked the same question over and over. Are the humans coming here? The Rokai, who prized order and balance, declared emergency laws, fearing riots. Even their calm was shaken. The galaxy was united in one thing only, unease. The coalition's dilemma back at the Red Star, fleets still circled the Erebus. Dozens of warships from different empires watched, none willing to leave, none brave enough to attack again. In the command chamber of the coalition flagship, representatives argued. The Kelnar admiral slammed his fist on the table. "We must strike now! It is only one ship. If we combine our fleets, we can break it before it calls others." The Ashari envoy shook her head. "You saw what happened when our cruisers fired. Our weapons did nothing. That ship is not only alive, it is awake. If we push it, it may destroy us all." The Cerithian scholar, tall and calm, spoke softly. "It has not killed. It has only defended itself. That means it may still be reasoned with." The Rokai commander frowned. "Or it is waiting. Waiting to see how strong we are before deciding how to strike. We cannot risk delay." Arguments continued for hours, but no decision was reached. Fear clouded every word. The Guardians watch inside the Erebus, the Guardian intelligence observed. Its sensors scanned every alien ship, measuring energy levels, weapons, and communications. It listened to their voices, their arguments, their threats. It judged them. The Guardian did not think as humans did, but it remembered their voices, their commands from long ago. It was built to protect the silence, to endure until humanity returned. And now, seeing the galaxy filled with division and fear, it began to follow the instructions buried deep within its core. If the galaxy failed to find peace, humanity would return in force. The test had begun. Strange movements days passed. The alien fleets kept their distance, watching nervously. The drones of the Erebus continued to patrol in perfect formation, silent but threatening. Then, without warning, the human ship released a signal beam. It was not aimed at the fleets. It was aimed at deep space, far beyond the dying star. The Cerithian scholar gasped when he saw it. "It is calling," he whispered. But what is it calling to? No one had an answer. Division in the council on the council's homeworld, the debates grew louder. Some leaders demanded total war. "If we do not destroy this relic now, we will face an invasion tomorrow." Others begged for diplomacy. "If we fight, we may awaken more. If we talk, perhaps they will leave us in peace." Merchants worried about collapsing trade. Farmers feared famine if routes closed. Pilgrims spoke of prophecy, that humanity were chosen beings who would return to judge the galaxy. In every corner, people whispered one question: what if the humans are already among us? The silence of 20,000 years now felt like a trap, as if humanity had been waiting for the right moment to strike. The second test, the coalition fleets decided to try again. Not an attack, but a show of strength. A combined fleet of cruisers and battleships surrounded the Erebus, keeping weapons charged but unfired. Slowly they closed the circle, tightening the noose. The drones responded instantly. Their formation shifted into sharp lines, covering every angle of approach. Their engines glowed brighter, their movements precise as blades. The Erebus itself remained silent, its massive bulk unmoving. Then, at the exact moment the fleets completed their circle, the warship acted. A pulse of light burst from its hull, not a weapon but a command. Every alien ship's systems froze. Engines died. Weapons powered down. Shields collapsed. The fleets panicked. Captains shouted, crews scrambled, but nothing worked. They were powerless. And then, the voice came again. "You are measured. You are found wanting." The fleets were stunned. This was no accident. This was judgment. Then, just as suddenly, power returned. Engines roared back to life, weapons flickered online, and shields stabilized. The Erebus had disabled them all, and then restored them. As if to show mercy, the message was clear. It could destroy them at any moment, but it chose not to. Seeds of rebellion, not all reacted with fear. Some saw opportunity. On distant worlds, rebel groups whispered that humanity's return would free them from oppressive empires. Smugglers dreamed of trading human technology for power. Religious sects declared the humans divine, sending prayers toward the stars. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt unstable, every empire trembling at the thought of what might come. The Guardian speaks, again finally. After many days of silence, the Erebus transmitted another message, this time longer. For 20,000 years, humanity has slept. We left the galaxy to you. We gave you time to learn peace, but you remain divided, ruled by fear. The silence ends now. Humanity returns! The words shook the fleets to their core. The Cerithian scholar whispered, "It speaks as if it has judged the whole galaxy." The Kelnar admiral growled. "Then let it come." "We will not bow to ghosts." But even he felt doubt. The waiting game. After that, the Erebus grew quiet once more. Its drones held position, its weapons stayed silent, but the signal beam continued to pulse into deep space. The fleets knew what it meant. It was calling to something. Something out there, in the dark. The question that haunted them all was simple. What will answer? The shadow of return across the galaxy, rumors spread faster than light. Some claimed they had seen other human ships on the rim. Others swore ancient ruins were glowing again, awakening like the Erebus. Merchants raised prices, fearing shortages. Generals trained armies. Scholars searched every archive for old records of humanity. But nothing brought comfort. The fear only grew. The galaxy had thought humanity extinct, forgotten in the dust of history. But now, faced with the truth, they realized the silence had only been the beginning. The Erebus was not here to fight. Not yet. It was here to judge, and if the Guardian found the galaxy wanting, then the true return of humanity was close. The alien fleets continued to circle, waiting, watching, arguing. But deep in their hearts, every commander, every soldier, every leader knew the same truth. The age of comfort was over. The age of humanity was about to begin again. The galaxy had been shaken. For weeks, the human ship Erebus had done little more than speak, defend itself, and send strange signals into the deep. But its presence alone was enough to turn peaceful markets into places of fear, and proud empires into councils of doubt. Still, the fleets surrounding it remained. They would not leave. Curiosity, fear, and pride held them there, and soon their patience would be tested. Division among the fleets on. The coalition flagship. Arguments filled the command chamber again. The Kelnar admiral paced like a restless predator. "Every day we wait, we give it more time to summon others," he said. "You saw the beam it sent into deep space. It calls to something. Shall we stand idle until the sky fills with these ships?" The Ashari envoy shook her long antennae. "And what if there are already more? If we attack, we may provoke all of them. Better to wait. Better to talk." The Cerithian scholar folded his long hands. "We must consider what the Guardian said. It spoke of a test. Perhaps it does not wish war, but judgment. Perhaps if we show wisdom, it will let us be," the Rokai commander growled. "Wisdom? It toys with us." "It shut down our ships like toys. No creature should hold such power." The room filled with noise. None could agree. Outside, the Erebus remained silent, its drones moving in endless patterns of perfect discipline. The decision to strike. Finally, after long debate, the coalition chose action. They would not call it an attack, but a demonstration of unity. "We will not fire to kill," the Kelnar admiral said, though his tone betrayed eagerness. "We will fire to test, to show that the galaxy is not weak." So fleets from 5 empires prepared. Battleships charged weapons, cruisers powered shields, carriers readied fighters. For the first time in centuries, the great powers of the galaxy stood side by side in common cause. But in truth, none trusted one another. Some hoped the others would suffer losses. Some hoped to claim glory. Some hoped to gain secrets from the ruins if the human ship fell. They were united only in fear. The first volley. The order came. 100 ships fired at once. Beams of plasma, missiles, and energy bolts slammed into the Erebus. The void lit up like a starburst. For a moment, hope filled the fleets. The blasts covered the warship, drowning it in fire. But when the light faded, the Erebus still stood. Its hull glowed faintly, its armor blackened but unbroken. The alien commanders stared in silence. "Impossible," whispered the Ashari envoy. The Kelnar admiral bared his teeth. "Again, stronger!" The fleets fired once more, unleashing their full strength. Yet still the ancient ship endured, its bulk unmoved, its light steady. Then the drones moved. The drones unleashed like a storm of steel. The human drones surged forward. Their engines burned bright, and their movements were sharp as blades. Alien fighters launched to meet them, but the drones cut through them with terrifying ease. Weapons of blue light slashed across the void, tearing shields apart, ripping through armor. The coalition fleets struggled to respond. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. Cruisers fell silent, their hulls broken. Even battleships were forced to retreat under the swarm's relentless assault. And yet, the drones never pressed to kill completely. They disabled engines, stripped weapons, shattered shields, but often left the ships drifting, alive but helpless. "This is no war," the Cerithian scholar whispered. "It is a test. It shows us our weakness." The voice of judgment as the battle raged, the Erebus finally spoke again. Its voice thundered through every ship, not through radio, but directly into their systems. "You are measured. You are found divided. You are found fearful. You are found unworthy." The words struck harder than weapons. Every alien commander felt as though the ship saw into their hearts. The Rokai commander shouted in anger. "We will not bow to you. We are not your subjects." But the voice replied only, "Humanity entrusted you with the stars. You squandered them. The silence ends." The heart of the Guardian inside the Erebus, the Guardian intelligence ran its calculations. It measured the fleet's responses, their lack of unity, their hunger for power. It compared them to the old voices of humanity, the lessons, the warnings, the hopes. Its conclusion was clear. The galaxy had not grown wiser. It had grown weaker. The test had failed. The pulse of power. Then for the first time, the Erebus revealed a fraction of its true strength. Its core flared with light, brighter than the dying star beside it. A wave of energy spread across the system, a shock that froze every ship in place. Engines died, shields collapsed, weapons went silent. Even the mighty Coalition flagship drifted powerless, its crew staring in despair, and yet the Erebus did not destroy them. It only held them there, helpless, as its voice filled the void. "This was your chance. You are not ready. The time of waiting is over. Humanity returns." Then the pulse ended. Power returned to the fleets. The Erebus released them as if to say, "I could have ended you, but I chose not to." Terror and realization. The alien fleets fled in confusion. Some limped away, broken and silent. Others retreated in anger, vowing revenge. A few remained, shaken but unwilling to leave. But one truth was clear to all. They could not defeat the Erebus. The galaxy trembled. If one ancient ship could do this, what would happen when more appeared? On the Council world, leaders shouted in panic. Some demanded peace at any cost. Some demanded secret projects to copy human technology. Others fell into despair. But Veyreen, the old Veyari scholar, spoke calmly. "Do you not see? It has not come to conquer. Not yet. It has come to warn us. But the warning is clear. Humanity has judged us unworthy." The opening sky, then, the unthinkable happened. A tear opened in space near the red star, a wormhole shimmering with light. It was not natural. It was made. From its depths came shapes, dark and massive, ships. At first, only one emerged. Then another. Then another. Soon, dozens filled the sky, each larger and more advanced than the last. They were human ships. Not relics like the Erebus, but something far beyond, sleek yet massive. Glowing with power the aliens had never seen. The fleets that had survived the battle watched in horror and awe. "This is the end," whispered the Ashari envoy. But the Cerithian scholar shook his head. "No, this is only the beginning." Humanity's herald, the Erebus pulsed with light as if greeting its kin. Its drones fell back, forming ranks, and then, for the first time, a new voice spoke. Not the cold mechanical guardian, but a human voice, clear and strong. "We entrusted you with the galaxy. You squandered it. Now we reclaim our place." The fleets listened in silence. The humans had returned. Not as myths, not as relics, but as masters, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy had lived in fear and confusion for weeks, but now the truth could no longer be denied. Humanity had returned, not as a whisper from the past, not as a single relic ship, but as a fleet, vast, silent, and powerful. The stars themselves seemed dim beside the glow of their engines. The Erebus, once the greatest ship any alien had ever seen, now looked old and scarred beside them. And yet it stood proud, like a herald that had completed its duty. The galaxy watched. Every sensor, every eye, every trembling hand turned toward the human fleet. The silence of the fleets. The Coalition fleets that had attacked were broken. Many of their ships drifted powerless, too damaged to escape. Others had fled into deep space, carrying stories that spread like fire. On the flagship of the Ashari, Admiral Solarin stood frozen. Her crew whispered in terror, some begging her to give the order to retreat. Yet she could not move. She could not speak. "How can anyone fight this?" one officer muttered. Solarin clenched her fists. She had sworn to protect her people, but in this moment she realized the truth. There was no protection against humanity. Not anymore. The Council in chaos across the galaxy, the High Council met in panic. The chamber shook with shouting voices. "We must surrender," cried one leader. "No!" another roared. "If we bow, they will enslave us." "Then fight!" With what? The arguments went in circles. Fear was their only unity. And then a single calm voice spoke. It was Vayreen, the ancient scholar who had studied human records all his life. "Listen to me," he said. "They could have destroyed us already. The Erebus proved that, but they did not. They chose to hold back. This means something. Humanity is not here only to conquer. They are here to judge, yes, but perhaps also to guide. If we face them with wisdom instead of fear, maybe we will survive." The chamber grew quiet. For the first time, the Council listened. The first message, back at the Red Star, the largest human ship opened a channel. Its voice was human, calm and steady. It spoke in a language that had not been heard for 20,000 years, yet somehow every alien understood. Their ships translated instantly, as if the words themselves bent to be known. "We are humanity. We left you the stars. We gave you time. We gave you freedom. But what have you done with them?" No one dared answer. "We see your wars. We see your pride. We see your fear. For 20,000 years you failed to unite. And so, we return." The words echoed across the system, carried through every channel, every ship, every world. Billions listened, holding their breath. The fear of the unknown. The fleets trembled. Some captains ordered their ships to retreat. Others stayed, paralyzed. A few whispered desperate prayers to gods long forgotten, but not everyone felt only fear. Some felt anger. On the Rokai cruiser Iron Fang, Commander Dres slammed his claw against the console. "We will not bow to ghosts. We will not be ruled by the past." He ordered his ship to fire. A single missile streaked toward the nearest human vessel. It never landed. A beam of white light lanced out from the human ship. The missile turned to dust, scattered across the void. The humans did not fire again. They did not destroy the Iron Fang. Instead, their voice returned. "You attack, yet we spare you. Do you see? Mercy is our choice, not your strength. Ours." Commander Dres sank into silence. For the first time in his life, he felt smaller than a child, a choice for the galaxy. Then, the voice of humanity changed. It was no longer only a judgment. It was an offer. You may continue as you are, divided, weak, fearful, but if you do, your end will come, not by us, but by your own failure. Or you may follow us, learn from us, stand with us. The choice is yours. The words spread across the galaxy like a storm. On distant worlds, people debated in the streets. Some demanded surrender, seeing no other hope. Others shouted for war, even if it meant extinction. A few saw something greater, a chance to rise, to become more. The meeting, the council finally agreed to send an envoy. Not a warrior, not a politician, but Vayreen, the old scholar who had studied humanity longer than any living being. When his small ship approached the human fleet, every alien held their breath. Would he be destroyed or welcomed? The answer came when the Erebus itself moved aside, opening a path for him. He was guided into the heart of the largest human ship. Inside, he found not soldiers, but figures of light and metal, humans or something more. Their bodies seemed both real and unreal, shaped by flesh and machine together. Their eyes burned with knowledge too deep to measure. "Vayari scholar," one of them said, "you studied our past. Tell us, what have you learned?" Vayreen bowed deeply. "That humanity was not only strong, but wise. That you gave the galaxy a chance to grow. And that we failed." The human figure nodded. "And yet you speak with honesty. That is why you are here. We will teach, but only those who are willing." The new order over the next days, messages spread across every world. Humanity would not enslave the galaxy. They would not destroy it, but they would lead it. Those who accepted would be guided, taught the old sciences and new wisdom. Those who refused would be left alone, but never allowed to threaten the rest again. The galaxy split. Some empires rushed to bend the knee, eager to share in human power. Others resisted, too proud to bow. And in the shadows, whispers of rebellion began to stir. The age of silence was over. The age of humanity had begun, the legacy of the Erebus. Through it all, the old warship remained at the center. The Erebus, scarred but unbroken, had fulfilled its duty. It had called humanity back. It had tested the galaxy. Now it stood as a symbol, both a warning and a promise. Alien children whispered its name in fear and awe. Scholars wrote of it as the bridge between the past and future. Warriors cursed it as the weapon that broke their pride, but all agreed on one truth. The return of humanity had begun with the Erebus. The final warning before the human fleet departed to spread their presence across the stars. Their voice rang out one last time. "We gave you 20,000 years. We will not give you another. Stand with us or fall without us. The choice is yours." And then, with a burst of light, the human fleet split apart, vanishing into wormholes that reached across the galaxy. The stars were quiet again, but the quiet was no longer peaceful. It was heavy, filled with the weight of choice. Epilogue. A new dawn on. His way home, Vayreen looked out at the stars. They no longer seemed distant. They no longer seemed safe, but they seemed alive. He whispered softly to himself, "The masters have returned. Let us hope we are ready." Far away, across countless worlds, beings of every kind lifted their eyes to the night sky, some in fear, some in hope, some in determination, because they all knew the same truth. Humanity was no longer silent, and the galaxy would never be the same.